Hello, and welcome to Lesson 3.5. Today, we're going to talk about how to create a really focused block of work time on purpose, instead of just hoping you find your focus by chance.
Here's what we'll cover. We'll start by defining what an intense focus session really is. Then we'll look at a popular tool called the Pomodoro technique. After that, we'll walk through something called the three-point match check, which will help you build and protect your own session. And finally, we'll wrap up with a quick recap.
All right, let's dive in. First up, what does intense focus actually mean? And more importantly, how can we capture our best work when we really need to?
I think we've all had this feeling. You sit down to work for a whole hour, and when the time is up, you feel like you've barely made a dent. But you've probably also had those moments where just 20 minutes of real, deep focus moves you further than an entire evening of distracted work. An intense focus session is how we create that second experience on purpose. So here's our definition. It's a short, protected block of time where you work with strong focus on one and only one specific task. In your workbook, go ahead and write down a simple definition in your own words. It could be something like a short, protected time block for one task. Feel free to pause if you need a moment. So what's the point of a session like this? The goal doesn't always have to be to finish an entire assignment. In fact, that's often too big of a goal. Sometimes the best goal is just to build some real understanding, or to create a little momentum and make progress. Or maybe it's just about getting started. Have a look at the options in your workbook and circle the one that feels right for you today.
Okay, so we know what an intense focus session is. Now let's talk about how to actually structure one. One of the most popular tools for this is something called the Pomodoro technique.
The classic Pomodoro is 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. It works really well when you already know what to do and you just need to stay on task. But it can definitely backfire if you're really tired or feeling overwhelmed, or if you don't actually understand the assignment yet. It's not great when you're using the timer to create pressure instead of support. Take a moment to fill this chart out in your workbook.
And that brings us to a really important idea, making sure your session is actually set up for success from the start. We call this the three-point match check.
You see, a really strong, effective session happens when three things line up. First is your learner state. That's your readiness. Are you fed, rested, feeling okay? Second is the thinking demand. Is the task just about remembering something, or is it more complex like analyzing or creating? And third is your academic form. That's the specific strategy or method you're using to do the work.
Why does this matter so much? Well, because it stops you from trying to force a long study session when your brain and body just aren't in the right place for it. In your workbook, try to complete this sentence for yourself. Matching these three things is important for me because... Go ahead and pause the video to think about that for a second. All right, let's get practical. We're going to move into the Apply It section of your workbook and actually build out a focus session for a real task that you need to do. We're going to follow 3 simple steps here. First, we'll choose one task. Second, we'll do that quick match check we just discussed. And third, we'll build the actual structure for the session.
Now is a perfect time to pause and turn to your workbook. For step 1, pick a single, very specific task, something like draft 1 body paragraph for my essay, not just work on essay. Then for step 2, do an honest check-in with yourself. How's your learner state? What's the thinking demand? How's your form? This will tell you if you're really ready to go.
Welcome back. Let's move on to step 3, building the session. You've got 2 main options here. Option A is a classic Pomodoro, which is great when you have decent energy and want to build momentum. Option B is a shorter, intense session. This is a much better choice when your energy is low or you're just having a hard time getting started.
Now that you've built the session, we need to talk about how to protect it. It's one thing to plan a session, it's another thing to keep it from falling apart when you get distracted or stuck.
There are just 2 final steps to our plan. Step 4 is all about protecting your academic form during the session, and Step 5 is about how to end the session in a way that helps you remember what you did. Okay, Step 4. This is a proactive step. I want you to think ahead. Before you even start, what's one thing you can do to protect your focus? Maybe it's putting your phone in another room. Or maybe if you tend to make careless mistakes, your move is to do just 2 math problems, then stop and check your work. Pick one of these moves that really fits your task and write it down.
And that brings us to step 5, a crucial part that so many of us skip, ending with a quick review.
This tiny step can make a huge difference in whether you actually remember what you just worked on. So look at the options here and choose one small review move that makes sense for your task.
Now we'll just take a moment to reflect on the session you've planned and recap the most important ideas from our lesson.
You'll notice there's a final section in your workbook with a quick check and a few reflection questions. Don't worry about this right now. Instead, come back to it right after you finish the focus session you just planned. It's a fantastic way to notice what worked well and what you might want to adjust for next time. If you remember one thing, let it be this. The point of an intense focus session isn't to do everything at once. The real goal is to build genuine understanding and create some momentum on a single task, rather than feeling scattered while half working on 5 different things.
So let's quickly summarize what we've learned. An intense focus session is a short, protected block of time for one task. The best sessions happen when you match them to your learner state, the thinking demand, and your academic form. And remember that the best sessions are planned out. You choose a task, build a structure, protect your form, and always end with a review.
And that's our deep dive into intense focus sessions. Take one last moment to make sure your workbook page is complete. You should now have a clear, actionable plan that's ready to go.
Once you've done that, you'll be ready for our next lesson, where we're going to explore the interesting relationship between music, focus, and something called cognitive load. I'll see you there.